Good evening and welcome to Modern Latina's Quinceañera celebration. My name is Linda Castillo and I'm the CEO and founder of Modern Latina. Modern Latina was created to celebrate, inspire, and empower Latinas. Over the course of the years, we have gone beyond the online platform. We have our Modern Latina book club where we feature and support Latinx authors, and we also host events to bring together Latinas so that we can connect, collaborate, and give back to our community. I'm beyond excited to be here tonight and welcome you to our celebrations. This year's theme is celebrating our stories, cultura, and community, and you're going to enjoy tonight's event. But our event wouldn't be possible without so many people to thank. Thank you to my family, my friends, and the community for supporting Modern Latina over the years. And I'd also like to thank Comcast, our sponsor, for making this event possible. So thank you so much for being here. Grab your glass of vino and enjoy the amazing Latinx leaders, the poets and musicians that are going to showcase how beautiful our community is. Enjoy.
Hola, ¿qué tal? My name is Esther Pagan. My social media name is Star Angel on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I was born in Youngstown, Ohio, but raised in the Bronx. I'm a New York Rican. The name of my poem is called Taína, and it's about being Taína. Taína, my roots come from within. My blood runs many cultures. From the beautiful jungles of Africa to the glitter of Madrid. My cousins, France, Italy, Germany, and Ireland. My cultures are many. But through my veins runs one true blood of a Taína. A noble woman am I, strong with dignity, proud, standing tall, beautiful with all my cultural curves, from white to black, pureness in my heart, fruitful in my soul. Taína am I, proud to be the Puerto Rican I am, proud to be Taína. The skin tones, the sounds, the smells, the laughter, all flow rhythmically. From our past, the beginning, when our beauty emerged with our Boricua sun and our rainbow of colors. Taína, yes, I am. Proud fighter, ama de casa, cariñosa, giver, supporter, mother, wife, sister, daughter, all in one. Sí, yo soy Taína, yo soy Boricua, orgullosa, till my days are done. This proud blood which runs through my veins, strong, you can't knock it down. Como el coquí, tan alegre que canta nowhere else but en mi isla del encanto. Y no te olvides de mi arroz con gandules y pernil. Que sabroso. My taste buds come alive to the feast which we as humble people always welcome. Mi isla bonita, tan bella y abundante de amor. I'm too proud to let la política take over mi corazón. My beauty, mi orgullo, my dignity, my intellect, my power, my soul. This energy comes out con salsa picante running through my veins and pores. Qué rica soy yo. Soy yo Taína, Boricua, from head to toe. Puerto Rico, yo te amo. You are in my soul, my body, my spirit. We will rise again, yet stronger. Our love for culture will save us. It will bring us together as one. Mi isla, we will rise above the storm. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carmen Milagro, and I'm coming to you from North Beach in San Francisco. The piece that I'll be reading for you today is an original poem called The Fire Within. It's an homage to everyone who refuses to conform. I hope you enjoy it. The fire within. There's only one way to succeed, they say. There's only one way, and that's pray. They don't see the fire within cannot be contained. They can't see the hope that always remains. Why can't that be? If only they would see the fire is within me. There's only one winner, they say. There's only one way, and that's pray. There's only those who have or have not. Why bother to try? I'll tell you why. You must choose to see that rainbow in the sky. And what can be is the fire within. But that fire within, it's me. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share with you one of my original pieces, The Fire Within. I'm Carmen Milagro.
Hola, mi nombre es Yana Samuel Garcia. My pronouns are she, her, hers, ella, and my two hometowns are Salinas, California, and Michoacán, Mexico. This poem, Amor Maternal, was inspired to celebrate my mother's first-time birthing day. Here is the poem. I am Mami's first creation, Mami's primeriza, con quien por primera vez en su vientre cargó vida. Los primeros latidos y ultrasonidos, las primeras pataditas, soy los antojitos de tacos, champurrado, mango con chile, fresas con crema y churritos. I'm a pedacito from her womb, la primera habitante en su útero. Soy las primeras náuseas y los primeros mareos. Soy las cicatrices en su abdomen. Soy el cordón umbilical. I am Mommy's whitened hips. Soy sus swollen pies and swollen pechos. I am her aching nipples. Soy los primeros desvelos. I am her tired ojitos, the dark under-eye ojeras. I am Mommy's warm breast milk. Soy sus felicidades, serás buena mamá. I am Mommy's first canas and her first señora facial arrugas. I am her first regaño as a madre with hija de tu madre. Her first mothering condolences with a heavy gasp followed by an ay mija. Soy el primer suspiro profundo de orgullosimiento with esta es mi hija. I am Mommy's firstborn. Soy su primer amor incondicional. Thank you.
I can't express how grateful I am to have been chosen for this recognition. I would like to send a heartfelt gracias to Linda Castillo and her team at Modern Latina for choosing me as the recipient of the Madre Award in celebration of their Quinceañera. I grew up as a single child with half-brothers in another state, and as long as I can remember, I always wanted siblings. Since I was little, I imagined being a mother of 5. Well, I came pretty close. I have a full household with my mother who lives with us and is 92 years young, my husband Frank, who many of you know, and our 3 beautiful girls, Alia is 17, Myla is 15, and Bria is 13. Dreaming of being a mom didn't prepare me for the ups and downs that we experience in parenthood. It's like a roller coaster. You jump in the seat, buckle up, and you shoot off. There are unexpected twists and turns that are both exhilarating and sometimes scary. Our scariest moment was when we almost lost my middle daughter, Myla, at 5 months of age. She was born healthy, but for some unknown reason, she aspirated while I was nursing her. I had her in a carrier, and I had thought she'd gone to sleep. When I took her out of the carrier, she was unconscious. I was a former EMT, so I administered CPR immediately. Tragically, the damage to her brain was extensive due to the extended time without oxygen in her brain. Myla is unable to walk, talk, or eat by mouth, but she's extremely charismatic and the strongest person that I know. If you follow us on social media and you see our family pictures, you'll see that Myla usually is the one with the biggest smile. I want to let you know that I am so grateful for all our friends who have taken care of her to provide respite for us when we needed it. We're also blessed to have an amazing healthcare system here in Santa Clara County, and her doctors have been like family to us, very loving and caring, and they help to keep her healthy. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank my mother and Frank, who actually nominated me for this award. I could not have the strength and resiliency to be the person I am today without their support. So what makes a good mom? In preparing for this speech, I asked my girls independently, what makes me a good mom? Surprisingly, they gave the same answer. They said, you feed and take care of us and help us solve our problems. That was it, nothing else. I thought they would say, we think you're a great mom because you buy us stuff, you take us on family outings and so many trips. But that wasn't what really mattered to them. It was just the basics. So I wanted to share this with you tonight with the moms, dads, tios, and tias, and abuelitos to take to heart that children in our lives love us for just being there and just taking care of the basics. The memories that they will carry for the rest of their lives will be that you were there for them. And that's what really matters. I accept this award and dedicate it to my colleagues in healthcare who, like myself, have faced the biggest work challenge in our lifetimes with the COVID-19 pandemic. We work endless hours to take care of others, and then we come home and we have to fight through that fatigue. And we are tutors, cooks, counselors, webmasters, and madres. Thank you again, Modern Latina, for choosing me as the Madre recipient. I am extremely honored, and I want to congratulate you on your quinceañera. Thank you.
Últimas scars. Las últimas scars to fade are in the mind and DNA. Mindless traditions, repetitions are not my way. Cortaron my manos, yet they are recreating. Cosas that you've never seen, pero vas a ver, keep waiting. Cortaron my lenguas, but I grew back a few más. I'm planting a garden, scatter seeds as I pass. For each libro burned, escribo 10 más hoy. Write them with an ink they cannot destroy. Wisdom, conocimiento, on a stone engraving. That wasn't the end, no, that was the beginning. Ancestors in my sangre, whispering through my corazón. Painting con manos antiguas, writing palabras con razón. My ancestors viviendo en mí son los que estás viendo. Paintings, poems, songs, and danzas in my sangre are corriendo. Demolish a city, a person, but nunca a nation. Dormidos but waking after each assassination. Despierten my arms with a message for a gente. Despierten my feet, images clear the mente. Wake up my minds and lenguas. Learn it, speak it, read it. Despierten my hearts. Create and grow and don't quit. Vivimos in the ruins, but our hearts are the vines. Conditioning is veneno, our creation's free minds.
Poema by G. Billy Quijano, Palabra Mujer. Suicide for a widow Chingona when lipstick wasn't enough. He left me alone and dropped me in the field of dreams. Suicidal distraction, a cellular reaction. La Duende struck me at my core and left my heart oh so sore. I question why grief has lied. Waves of pain won't subside. And in you, you are on the fly. You are not my friend, but oh my, are you sly. You must never hide, otherwise I will never see him in the high. His warm kisses, his whispers in the trees, my walk sways and struts with the divine in me. The lacy pattern of salt in the sea, La Serena calls to me. Her teal blue waves caressing my eyes and caressing my thighs. Intoxicated by love, my third eye split. Through all my grief, my heart is lit. My soul is singing, and my spirit won't quit. And what the water taught me brings beauty, joy, and bliss. And the world will come to me with a splendid kiss.
Hi there, my name is Janet Lopez Galindo. I am originally from Mexico City. I was raised in the Bay Area, and I'm coming to you today from San Francisco to share a poem with you. The poem is called See Me, and it talks about the undocumented experience. So here it goes. No longer human, no longer a woman, no longer a sister or a daughter. I am seen as nothing more than a political controversy. I am undocumented, but undocumented is not who I am. These politicians have dressed their words in white robes, manipulated history so well that people who have forgotten how their ancestors got here are convinced that I am an illegal act. My status is a taboo and confuses you. Your ignorance fools you and fuels you into your hatred. I speak to my abuelita in broken Spanish. At times I can say more with my hands than I can with the split tongue, yet you ask me how I speak English so well. My tongue cannot stand the salsa que pica mucho or remaining silent any longer. And no, I don't clean houses like my mother, but even if I did, I'd be proud because it was my mother who told me that as long as you are not stealing, there is nothing to be ashamed of. Part of me wants to make you feel what I have felt every time. The lack of a 9-digit number has stopped me from doing things you don't even think twice about doing. When driving to the store can be the moment that changes our lives, you have mistaken your ordinary for your privilege. But I know that you don't understand. I know that if I wasn't undocumented, I probably wouldn't understand either, because how can you understand how much I need agency over my own body, the way that a detained child needs the warmth of their mother, how the fragments of freedom distributed in a 2-year work permit will never be enough, how I didn't know the price of being here is realizing that my parents are also children who will never get to see their parents again. How much longer will it take you to see that you are merely the product of a racist nation that doesn't want me, unless I have a 4.0 GPA and am willing to leave my brown skin at a port of entry? The product of a system who taught you to dehumanize us, that lies to your face when it says it's here to protect you, and illegal immigrants like me are a danger to you and your job. You have been taught to think of immigrants with a negative connotation. Damn, I am so tired of defending my parents' decision to bring me to this country. I am slowly losing patience. But most of the time I feel hope. Hope that you will see me as you see others. I hope you see you have the power to save my people. And by save my people, I mean save our people. You need to redefine what undocumented means to you. Undocumented. Let the word fill you with the courage of brave migrants who risked everything, and I mean everything, to give those they love a chance the world denied them. Undocumented. Let it fill you with the memory of those who tried but didn't make it, and all that's left of them is bones in the desert with no name, no grave, and no dignity. Don't you know that these borders were man-made, and don't you dare forget that man has not always been right. Now can you see us? Can you see me?
"2020 has been marked with unpredictability and uncertainty, but we've also witnessed resilience, courage, and strength in the face of numerous challenges. At Comcast, we pride ourselves on creating special moments of connection. And this year, those connections have never been more important for customers and the communities we serve. Even amidst massive adversity, we have made impressive strides this year. Comcast continued to invest in its infrastructure to ensure that customers have fast, high-capacity, reliable internet service. We recently announced a $15 million investment to enhance and expand our internet infrastructure in Modesto, benefiting more than 2,000 local businesses. During the many fires that plagued our state, Comcast helped first responders and emergency response teams, as well as our customers and communities. We have improved our public safety power shut-off process by sending letters, emails, and text messages to customers when we are alerted that our services may be impacted by the loss of power. We all know that distant learning has been a huge challenge for students and families this year. When the COVID-19 pandemic broke out in March and people started to shelter in place, Comcast was the first internet service provider to offer 2 months free service to eligible new Internet Essentials customers. We also started the Internet Essentials Partnership Program, which enables counties, cities, or nonprofit organizations to sponsor or pay for services for their constituencies. Thanks to our committed partners, many students who did not have internet access now have a broadband connection at home. We also recognize that 2020 has brought racial and social injustices even more into the forefront. Comcast is committed to having these conversations and to investing more in the communities where we live and work. We announced a comprehensive multi-year plan to allocate $100 million to fight injustice and inequality against any race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, or ability. Through our nationwide RISE program, we are offering grants, marketing and technology upgrades, including media campaigns and connectivity, computer and voice equipment, as well as free marketing insights to all applicants. Locally, we also announced a $350,000 partnership with Opportunity Fund to provide microloans and wraparound services to diverse small businesses. With social distancing restrictions continuing, Comcast developed creative ways to take events and programs virtual so that we could sustain support for our numerous multicultural initiatives. In partnership with the Asian American Journalists Association, we launched Rising with the Tides, a storytelling project that enables local journalists to promote stories of resilience among the Asian American Pacific Islander community. For Pride Month, we worked with the Commonwealth Club of California and San Francisco Pride to host virtual events. We also sponsored the relaunch of Out in the Bay, a radio program that amplifies LGBTQ+ stories. We partnered with LTX Fest, Modern Latina, and We All Grow Latina to host a series of events during Hispanic Heritage Month. While no one can say what the future may bring, we know one thing for certain: Comcast will be here, and we will be here for all of our communities. Please visit our blog at california.comcast.com for more information.
Hola, I'm Rosanna Alvarez, and I'm here with Modern Latina magazine celebrating their Quinceañera. And it is an honor and a beautiful one at that to be here at Chacho's in Morgan Hill with this beautiful mural in the background. Tremendous art. Francisco Franco is the artist and talent behind that work. And this is indeed the most beautiful space to be here in the company of such greatness. A Chingona indeed, and the recipient of Modern Latina's Chingona Award in honor of its Quinceañera.
Thank you for having me.
Great.
What an honor to be here with y'all.
It's always an honor to sit in conversation with you, and I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about your story. And for folks who don't know about your story or the whole range of what your story is, because truly you live life Chingona always. I'm pretty sure, you probably came into this world Chingona and the work followed. And so for folks who don't know, you started Dreamers Road back in 2014.
The idea began in 2014. I went into a competition, but it wasn't launched officially until 2016.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So 2014 probably had done so much homework leading up to then.
Yes.
And then 2016 it becomes a reality, and you're helping folks find resources, I think scholarships for undocumented dreamers, right? Who
That is correct.
oftentimes are not eligible for certain things that should just be a given, right? For people who have put so much work into the dream of making education obtainable reality.
That's right.
So necessary work.
Thank you.
So we're here today because you are the recipient of Modern Latina's Quinceañera Chingona Award. And there's so much that we could talk about, but I wanted to start a little bit with just what inspires your entrepreneurship. And it's not just entrepreneurship, starting a business and that's that. It's this social entrepreneurship. So this entrepreneurship for good, right? For making the world a better place.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit more about your inspiration?
Definitely. Yeah, so as you mentioned, right, so I'm an immigrant from Mexico. I came here when I was 4 years old, family of the youngest of 11, so a very big Mexican family, but the first one to really kind of have that opportunity to go to school here. My brothers and sisters came when they were a little older. They kind of went to high school for a little bit, but eventually dropped out. So for me, education was very different and very important. I would kind of see like, oh, if you went to college, like your life is like this. If you didn't go to college, your life is going to be like this. And I think for me growing up, there was a lot of instability. And for me to confirm or assert myself that I was going to be stable was that I needed to go to college. So since I was very little, I was very observant, and I'm like, okay, I need to get very good grades, and I need to behave very well, and I need to be involved in the community and in school, and that's exactly what I did, right? So I think for me, what inspired Dreamers Roadmap was my personal story. My junior year of high school, I found out that on top of being an immigrant, I was an undocumented immigrant. And pursuing college, as you mentioned, right, I was under the impression that I was going to qualify for FAFSA like all of my friends and all of the scholarships that they were applying for, and I didn't. So for me, that was kind of like my whole world was caving in, because here you have like little Sarahi, super outgoing and like with all these kind of like things that would make her application outstanding for college, could not even apply because she had no money to do it. So graduating high school with honors and being in this situation was very heavy for me. I felt that I was not only letting myself down, but I was letting my parents down. The whole sacrifice of them like leaving their country and language and culture to bring me to this country to give me that one opportunity, right? So I think for me, when thinking of like the inception of Dreamers Roadmap was, I don't want anybody else to feel what I was feeling and go through what I was going through. And mind you, I think that when I launched Dreamers Roadmap, I didn't really know what an entrepreneur was. Like that was a new word for me. I'm like, I just want to fix this problem and I want to build this company. Little did I know there was like all these titles associated with it. And I think for me it was that, right? Like el no saber más o menos también, and just going with the flow of like, I don't want this to happen to anybody else. This opportunity of this national competition was given to me. I was going to take it. And I gave it my all. I'm like, look, this already happened to me. I found a solution. I want to build it, but now I just need your money. And they're like, okay. So I won first place in the country. Amazing. I come home with $100,000. And in 2016, we launched Dreamers Roadmap.
And it's been an adventure ever since.
Ooh, right? It's been an adventure before, when we launched, and ever since. Yes, for sure. That's a very good way to put it.
Amazing. Excuse me, I'm like getting all emotional over here. See if the eyeliner holds. But part of what I do in the realm of social entrepreneurship is I produce and I invite several different folks to come and talk to me in conversation like this, right? Yeah. With the Hella Chingona podcast.
Yes.
And it really is about sharing stories like yours, so that we remember this legacy of Chingonaness that we come from in community with each other, right? And so hearing your story is very relatable. And I've heard you talk about your story before, and it's very, it's personal, right? But it's also this idea of responsibility,
right,
for bringing other folks along with us. And I think that that's the beautiful thing about Chingonas in general. And in every conversation I've had with Hella Chingonas on the line, it's been around this idea of we carry each other, right, and we inspire each other, and we ground each other, and we uplift each other. And so in that way, I'm going to get a little bit ahead in the conversation because I'm curious to hear how you unpack Chingona. Being the recipient of this award at the Quinceañera of the magazine, is an honor in itself, and it's an honor to have this conversation with you as we reflect on the 15 years of the magazine and doing that for other Chingonas, but also just how we ourselves kind of come to those definitions in community. So how would you define a Chingona? How would you spread that legacy to other mujeres as well?
Yeah, it's so interesting that you say that, right? Because I think for me, growing up, I went to church a lot. So chingona was not like in my vocabulary, like eso no se dice, like eso es vulgar. So it's like, oh, eres inteligente, eres una niña muy buena. And I got to this point in my life where I'm like, I am a chingona though. Okay, so mi mamá fue la primera chingona que yo conocí, right? Like I think, again, going back to like the words, it was like, I couldn't tell her, mamá, qué chingona es usted, but she was, you know, like venimos de Mexico with very little. We were always kind of moving, and that's why this whole instability was so personal for me, because that was trauma that I had. I went to I don't know how many elementary schools like growing up, and we were constantly moving. But she always had this faith and this kind of like energy of like, mija, no pasa nada, like we're gonna be okay. Y ahí voy. Soy bien chillona también, so if I start crying, I'm sorry. And yeah, you know, like she would always say, like, mija, like, por algo pasan las cosas, usted no se rinda, like, todo va a estar bien. Y eran situaciones and like where we would sleep on the floor, we would like sleep in a room, we would sleep on a couch, like she didn't care, right? And I think for me, like, I didn't really know anything different. So for me, like, dormir en el piso, it was the best. Like, I love sleeping on the floor. I'm like, yo quiero dormir en el piso. Like, when they would like have a couch, I'm like, yo quiero dormir en el piso. And she just always had this perspective and vision and seeing things. And I think for me, right, for putting perspective in me, like, mija, usted no sienta que es menos, usted like es grande, usted es especial. And the one thing that I think I carry with myself the most is what she would tell me on days that I would just cry or have a really hard day, either with like my nephews or nieces bullying me, or this whole thing of like my family being envidiosos because I had good grades and their kids didn't. And I'm like, well, esa no es mi culpa. Like, yo qué culpa tengo que sean bien burros. You know what I mean? But it was like those small things. Que cuando eres chiquito, o sea, you're expecting for someone to say, mija, good job. Like, we're so proud of you. Y todos like como que me cerraban la puerta. Ay, qué creída eres. Like, ¿para qué nos dices? And I'm like, okay. And I would go crying to my room to my mom. And then she would always tell me, like, mija, no llores. Like, todo está bien. Recuerda que tú eres una hija de Dios. Ooh. And I think for me, I really embraced when she told me que yo era una hija de Dios y yo era una persona especial. She's like, you're special, like you're different. And embrace that. Like, we're different. And I think for me, when I found out that I was undocumented and I was an immigrant and that I couldn't go to school, I remember praying to God, like enojada. Like, I would argue with him. I'm like, my mom said I was special, like that I was different, but this is not the special that I wanted. Like, this is not the difference that I wanted. Like, this is really hard. Like, why me? And I would cry in my prayers to God. And I'm like, yo no quiero ser especial. Like, yo no quiero tener esto. And I would just remember my mom, you know, in the back of my mind, like every time I felt bad, she would open up the Bible and read me a scripture or sing me a hymn. And I miss that, you know. I miss that. I feel that oftentimes when you wear this hat of like, oh, you're a chingona, everybody sees this very like, not tough, but like, ella puede con todo. Y lo podemos, you know, like gracias a Dios he podido. But like in the back, like it's that little girl still, you know, que le decían like, oh, tú nunca vas a hacer nada en la vida. Like, porque, o tú eres tonta, o tú no puedes, o tú aquí quédate. Because I wouldn't have like the clothes or the shoes that my nieces and nephews had. And tú no te metas a la foto. And like little things like that que de niño dices tú like, pero ¿por qué? Like, yo quiero salir a la foto. No, tú no puedes. And like cositas así. Y recuerdo a mi mamá, ¿no? Y ahora es tan interesante how the tables have turned. Ahora salgo en los periódicos, salgo en la tele, fui a la Casa Blanca. Y te digo, like, always in the back of my mind, I'm like, todo por mi mamá, que fue el ejemplo de esa chingona, que no importaba lo que nos pasaba, lo que nos dijeran, donde durmiéramos, ella siempre, mija, tú ten fe. Todo pasa por algo, it's gonna be okay. Y con esa energía, you know, con esa energía, like, sea lo que sea que venga, como inmigrantes, como indocumentados, como mujeres, que nos dicen y que nos ponen que tú puedes, que tú no puedes. I really go back to that space where I would sit with my mom and I was in her arms and she's like, mija, tú eres una hija de Dios. Tú eres especial y todo pasa por algo. Tú ten fe. And I think it's that. Like, esa fe que llevo por dentro, que digo, sea lo que venga, yo no estoy sola. Dios está conmigo. Ahora, gracias a Dios, tengo a mi esposo y a mis niñas que también están conmigo. Mis papás están en México. Mi papá falleció hace 4 años. Mi mamá todavía está en México, pero ella todavía la llevo en mi corazón. Y a mi papá también. Y, o sea, son los que van conmigo. So that's, I feel, what gives me the energy, you know, to just really keep going and motivating. And I think to your point even of like, just remembering where we come from and the situations and things that we've lived through that really teach us to want to create that change. And I think it was that, like that little girl that was pushed out of the picture. It's like, nobody should feel that. No one should go through that. Like, what can I do to fix it? So I think it was that mindset of like, Sarahi, you're a fixer, you're a doer, you're a builder. And really telling myself that, because nobody but my mom would tell me that. Right. Ni en la escuela, o sea, ¿me entiendes? So it was like really, really believing, porque muchas veces yo siento que como latinos o como mujeres, we're like, oh no, tú ten los babies y en la casa y es todo. And it's like, no, but I'm much more than that.
So much more than that.
Yeah.
Right? And you come from so much more than that.
Yes.
Y tu mamá también dio ese ejemplo of being so much more than that, right?
Yeah.
As in, that in itself, being a mom, definitely has its place of honor and elevation.
Oh, yes.
And still, I think the majority of us women can relate to this idea that, you know, when we're talking about our Chingona moms, that we see them as our moms, but we also see them as so much more.
Right.
And that we are an extension of that legacy. And I think you've had a phenomenal journey, and hearing your story just reminds me that, you know, when I talk to folks, I always ask them, and I didn't ask you, but you still answered it in this way, you know, who do you come from and who do you carry with you in this work? And simply by asking you how you unpack Chingonaness, you went there. And I appreciate it on so many levels, because it speaks to this idea that we are so many things and the result of so many people's struggles, right. And that we carry our former childhood selves into this work in trying to make things better for other people.
Yes.
And so that brings me to the work you've been engaging in and with in this present moment, right? During the pandemic, during COVID-19, during a time that is tremendously taxing on all of us, right, collectively. Yeah. And knowing that there are some of us who come into this world ready to do and ready to figure things out, and are not content with just, you know, sitting at home and saying, I've done great work and, you know, the rest will work itself out. We're constantly figuring out, how do we carry community with us, right? How do we bring to life that legacy of everything you just talked about? And you've been doing the first of the month?
Yes.
That's now become this bigger thing than you had even started, right?
Yeah.
Because I think if I remember correctly, the goal was to raise 1 million to help with folks who weren't able to cover their entire rent and or basic needs.
Yes.
And you've done quite a few things, including, you know, collect supplies for farm workers and join some of those other farm worker caravan movements that have been happening. But if you could talk a little bit more about that, I would love to hear how you connect it to the ongoing thread of your work and to your story.
Definitely.
And to that spirit of faith and the, you know, the lecciones that came through from your mama and that entire context también.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so when the pandemic hit, I think like all of us, right, it just kind of, at least personally, I was like kind of in shock. I'm like, is this like real? Are we really having to stay home and not going anywhere? And I think for me, one of the first triggers I think that came was the undocumented community, right? Like now I'm a legal permanent resident. I have a little bit more privilege, but I was thinking right away, like my husband got laid off, and he right away came home and applied for unemployment. I'm like, oh, cool. But what about everybody else? What about that dishwasher? What about that house cleaner? That, you know, that hotel service person that's coming home, they were stripped from their job because we had that shutdown, and then all these places started to close and people weren't at home. And what's their lifeline? Like, who are they? And they live paycheck to paycheck. Like, I feel like we do too, but we had that lifeline of like, oh, unemployment, and oh, that stimulus check that came in the mail. And I just couldn't sit there. I just couldn't sit with the thought of like, how comfortable we are and what about them, right? And I think thinking about my students, right? Like my students are still undocumented students pursuing higher ed, their families, their parents. So I talked to a couple friends and I was like, hey, like, are you guys down to like fundraise money outside of our own organizations? It still aligns with our mission, but to pay these folks like full rent because they really have nowhere else to get money from. And yeah, Cafeteria came on board and Live in Peace came on board. And then we had this like magical, I call him like our unicorn, like Howard, like this guy that was introduced by a mutual friend to us. And in 15 days, we raised $1 million. And I was like, this is wild. And even like just the $1 million, they're like, Sarahi, that's a lot. Like, I don't think, I'm like, what do you mean you don't think we could raise $1 million? We're in the Silicon Valley. Like, how can we not? And to me, honestly, I was like, this is a modest ask, you guys. And they were all kind of like freaking out, like, Sarahi, that's a little too much. Like, you're a little crazy. I'm like, yeah, I am crazy. Like, that kind of, but that's what we have to do. I think it's totally doable. So when we reached the goal in 15 days, I'm like, we have to keep going. We have to raise more money. And yeah,
you've since doubled that goal, right?
We doubled and a little bit extra. We were able to raise, I think, 2.4 or 2.5 million total.
Amazing.
To date. And yeah, we've been able to help more than 350 families pay their, we were initially just going to do 3 months for each family that we got. So it was only originally going to be for 150 families, and then we just kept getting more money, and we extended the help and then added more families. And it was just wonderful, you know, when the families would come and pick up their checks, oof, like it was so emotional. Some of them would like literally were crying since they were waiting in line to get their check. They're just like, ¿por qué? Like, ¿cómo me encontraron? Like, ¿por qué me lo están dando? ¿Qué quieren a cambio? And I was like, no, nada. Like, solo les queremos ayudar. Like, su hijo es mi estudiante y les queremos ayudar. And they were just in shock. They're like, ¿le firmo algo? Like, ¿qué quiere? I'm like, no. I mean, solo que le estamos dando el cheque. But they didn't understand, right? And I think for me, that was another like testament on like, our people don't expect anything to be handed to them.
Right.
You know, we work for what we have and we work for what we get. So for us to come from the sidelines and be like, aquí tiene un cheque para que pague su renta y que no se preocupe de eso y le pueda dar de comer a sus hijos, they were just kind of like, why?
Right. Right.
So yeah, you know, like I just feel honored and blessed to have friends that go with the flow of my wild ideas. Because at the end of the day, we're benefiting to keep our essential workers with a house, a roof over their head. And again, these families that ask for nothing, give so much to this country, are the backbone of this country. And I feel like in this specific moment, when everyone was closing the doors on them, we opened the gates and we're like, venga, like we're here to help you. So
and you made it simple for them, right? Because in
super
the
simple.
context of work, they're always hustling, working hard.
Sí.
Sometimes 3 jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're right to have folks come in and be able to have some assistance that is worry-free itself.
Yes.
Without all of the hoops and the
Yep.
bureaucracy, and
Yep.
to say this is a space of dignity.
Yes.
You know, and that we value your work and that we're putting, you know, some dollars and assistance behind that in a way that still holds dignity.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that was another thing why they were kind of like asking so many questions, like, why are you giving this to me? Like, how did you find me? Why are you trusting me? I'm like, because I am you.
Right.
I was in your shoes. I almost lost my house. I was homeless for a minute after my parents left and I stayed behind. I'm like, I don't need to ask you all these questions.
Right.
I know that when basically shit hits the fan, like you really have nothing else to turn to or no one else to turn to. So I'm like, I get it. I don't have to ask you. Like, I trust when you tell me you need money for rent, I'm trusting you because I was there too. And I wish someone would have trusted me or gave me a helping hand and said, Sarahi, are you okay?
And that you as a human being are worthy of that trust and dignity. And that, I think, is a byproduct of how you approach the work, right?
Yes.
Of coming to the table with people is very different from coming with an expectation that you were there helping with this different kind of dynamic. And so there's something about feeling like you're helping familia
Yeah.
that I think lends itself to that sense of dignity in the work that you do with the folks you do it with, right?
Yes, definitely.
And speaking of dignity, and I'm thinking about some of what you shared when we were unpacking Chingonaness, and you were talking about your mom and that legacy and that community. I'm thinking about the generations forward también, right? And you yourself are a mother now, and you've been for a little bit of time. You've got 2 little ones.
Yeah.
If you could speak a little bit to that and the legacy you hope to leave to those little chingonas, because as a mother of 3 myself, I always have that in the front of my mind and on the bulk of my shoulders, right? It is a responsibility, especially when we think so highly of folks who came before us, and knowing that we now have a responsibility for the people who follow, right, even in our own households. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about that.
Oh no, definitely. Yeah, so I think one, right, when I started this work, my kind of mission and motivation, and still part of it, is the generations that are coming after me, whether they're my children or not. It's just these kids who really didn't have anyone to guide them. Again, because that was me. I was that child. And I think now as a mom, it's like this whole added layer of like purpose and responsibility. And how do I teach them to feel and know that they can really be and do whatever they want? Like, I think oftentimes that's just kind of said like as an overhead, like you can be whatever you want, or you can be the change you want to be. I'm like, but there's a difference. There's like wanting to be and doing. Right? And I think for me, like, that's the thing. Like, I don't just want to tell them, be the change you want to see in the world. She did. Yeah, so Eliana wanted a backpack because we literally got almost like 200 backpacks. So they were all in like her dad's like truck. And then I was explaining to her, we're going to give these to los niños de los campesinos. And she was like, oh, okay. And she started helping unload, like, yo quiero ayudar. And she would like sit inside the truck and help her dad like unload the backpacks. And I remember one of the times I went into the truck and I started unloading. She's like, Ama, that's my job. She's like, yo quiero ayudar. And I felt so proud. It was like seconds, but I felt so proud as a mama, that I was like, oh, my baby, like she wants to actually do the work. And I was so proud because I'm like, that's what I want to leave behind, that my kids not only see what I've accomplished, but that I'm doing the work. And for her to take like physical action and say, yo quiero ayudar, like as small as it could be, like to unload these 200 backpacks. For me, it was huge because I'm like, she's seeing what mommy is doing and she wants to help. So I think for me, like, I voy kind of to where I want to leave my legacy to them. It's like, mommy did this, and that, but she's doing it to leave you an example that you can do the same thing. You can help other people. You can be kind. You can take action. When you see a problem, try to fix it with your friends. And take action and do that for them, because you probably have a little bit more privilege, especially as a citizen of this country. You have a lot of privilege that a lot of these kids and families don't. And so I hope that they take that.
For them, it's not a question, right? I think I see that with my babies, and they're seeing everything I do, from the magazine to the podcast to even driving over here to have this conversation with you. And for them, it's just very much a fact of life. And so I'm hoping that, in that same way where we had our journey to come into this space of, we are who we are, and we're able to offer so much work toward social good. Yeah. That there was still a part of our journey where we had to remind ourselves and reground ourselves in the idea that there were examples before us. Yes. Even by way of our own mothers. And so I think the beauty of our kids in particular is how close they are to work that for other people, seems like these tremendous pieces of work, which they are, but what you're saying here in this conversation is that a lot of it is based on the simple values of caring for each other. Yes. Right? And so my final question in conversation with you for today is just, what are some words of advice that you might have for other chingonas out there, hoping to either start a business or leave a legacy? I think sometimes we shy away from that, right? Yeah. And if anything was made evident here is that folks like our parents, who maybe were never asked that question, have in fact left a legacy for us. Right. And so what lessons or words of advice or consejo might you have for other chingonas out there hearing these words?
Yeah, I think that first and foremost is to lead with love, right? Like a friend of mine started his like firm not too long ago, and that's what he titled it. I'm like, I love it. Like it's so simple,
Right.
but it's so powerful. Like everything that I do lo hago de corazón. Like lo hago porque yo amo like hacer servicio a los demás. Like amo a la gente, amo a ver que la gente se progrese.
Right.
Porque de qué sirve like que solo uno, ¿me entiendes? Llega a la final. Like it's not fun to be at the end by yourself. The thing is to bring the party with you, bring
Right.
folks with you. So I think for me it's that, right? Like one, lead from the heart, lead with love. Two is really surround yourself by people who believe in you and really want to see you succeed. Porque desafortunadamente, and it's getting better, we're getting better. En nuestra comunidad hay mucha envidia.
Right.
It's like, oh, ves a alguien, and instead of being like, wow, qué chingón, like, you know, they have their restaurant, like, qué padre, like, son latinos, si acaso inmigrantes, like, no sé la historia, but I'll get it one day. Qué chingón, like, ¿en qué les puedo ayudar? Like, should I give you a shout out on Instagram? Like, how can I help you?
Right.
En vez de decir, like, ay, pues mira ya, they got the restaurant, pues ya se creen. y suele pasar, you know, y es muy feo. Entonces, the second thing is like when there's like a saying que otra amiga mía dice that it's like when one grows, we all grow.
Right.
Like let's help uplift each other. Let's not suppress each other. Porque solo así vamos a salir como comunidad, you know what I mean? And then I think the third is, so one, lead with love. Two, surround yourself by people that love you and support you and uplift each other. And I think the third is just to like never give up. Like really, really, I know I'm pretty sure everybody hears that all the time.
Right.
Like, oh, like, yeah, it's easier. And it is easier said than done. Trust me. Like I've been through it. I've come back. I've been through it again. And I come back again. But it's really like no te des por vencido and just have the faith. Como decía mi mamá, you know, like no te des por vencido, mija. Like we're special. Like we're here for a reason. Like you're going through everything that you're going through por algo. Tú ten fe. So it's just that, tener fe que lo que quieres hacer, the business that you want to start, the company that you want to do, ten fe que tú lo vas a poder hacer. Surround yourself by the right people that will get you there, and then never forget the folks behind you to keep lifting each other up.
Right.
I think that's what I would say.
So there's some humility and some sense of community in that as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Beautiful. So me están queriendo escapar las lágrimas, pero me las voy a aguantar. But it's been beautiful to have, you know, shared space, especially during this time. And I love that we got some time to sit together and have this conversation with folks bearing witness to it and hearing some of that journey and hearing how just multifaceted, multi-layered that you yourself are, and that there, even amidst all of that, the sense of very simple things in life, you know, family, faith, community, care and love, and the heart that goes into your hustle.
Yeah.
And it's always beautiful to hear firsthand from people how they articulate that to us in a very generous way, in a very loving way. And if there's anything to be said about your spirit of chingonaness, it's that it is definitely one of giving and one of cariño and one of corazón. And so thank you for that, and for the reminder for all of us to keep at it, right?
Yeah.
Estamos en la lucha, whatever our lucha is, even if that's putting together a business that will help other people. And so thank you for leading by example. And for putting your granito de arena into, you know, the collective fabric of our stories that ultimately do intersect in and out of each other's lives, right?
Definitely.
And we provide that care and sustenance to each other.
Yeah.
And so again, we're here celebrating the Quinceañera of Modern Latina magazine. It's been a tremendous honor to sit in conversation with Sarahi today. And I hope that you all enjoy the rest of the program. It is a beautiful Quinceañera celebration. Yay. And if there's anything that we know about quinceañeras, is that there's always music and culture and laughter y hasta veces hasta lágrimas.
Yeah.
And so thank you once again. And for the rest of you, enjoy the rest of the program. It's been a pleasure. Gracias.
Hola, my name is Diana Medina. I am a program director at a nonprofit organization, storyteller and poet. first generation Mexican American, born and raised in Los Angeles, California, currently living in Sacramento, and this is my poem, World War III. Attention, attention, this is a call to action. It's official, World War III is a war of words. My notebook is locked and loaded, and I'm saving you a seat at the mesa, mesa, mesa que más aplauda. I asked them to send La Niña, but she's still locked in a cage with all the others. And now that we know that hard truth, I want you to be outraged with me. I want you to pray with me. Pray for the babies in the cages with me. Pray for their mommies and papis with me. Pray for the refugees fleeing war with me. Pray for the folks drowning in student loan debt with me. Pray for the third grade reading scores in the hood to rise with me. Pray for Mother Earth with me. I want you to use your imagination de colores with me. Let's take over this world like a Pinky and the Brain style scheme to fix society. I want you to write things into existence with me. I want you to tell other people your dreams with me. I want you to put on your pilas with me. I want you to manifest some magical shit with me, because these people of no color keep putting sour cream on our cultures and it's pissing me off. I want you to be pissed off with me. I want you to embrace your duality. Be both Mac Daddy and Daddy Mac with me. Say words that will make you jump, jump with me. Say words like what the fuck with me. Say words like fuck Donald Trump with me. Say words like si se puede with me. Say words like Black Lives Matter with me. Say them over and over until the revolution is a reality. Bang on tables, knock on doors, and stomp your feet with me. Organize and storm the beaches of white supremacy. Tell them my parents didn't cross borders to build a life here so they could fuck with me. Tell them over and over until we manifest our destiny. Tell them we matter. Tell them we exist. Tell them the carne asada awakening is gonna be lit. There will be soul food for the people. Tacos with a side of truth. Rice with a side of resistance. Beans with benefits. Café con consciousness. Pan con possibilities. Everyone is invited. We are clearly soldiers with papers and pens. Dauntless crusaders hustling to make America free again. Our ancestors' ancestors will adore us, standing hand in hand with our children's children. They will sing in grateful chorus. Hey, where the party at? Transformation came, we need a party hat. You and your pens fought for all of that. Well done, well done. And when we hear them, our hearts will burst like rivers of living poetry flowing. What a tear-filled sight it will be to see our comunidades finally thriving, growing, all because of what we did today. Now I want you to repeat after me so the world can hear us. We pledge abundance to our hearts. We are the United States of America. And to our ancestors with whom we stand, one nation, ready to heal, indestructible, with clarity and compassion for all. Gracias.
Gabriela Sepulveda. I am a singer and actress from San Jose, California. Maybe you have seen me perform on shows like American Idol, Levels Kids, Sábado Gigante, or perhaps you saw me act in the Telemundo series Jenny Rivera, Mariposa de Barrio. I'm super excited to be joining you all today in Modern Latinas Quinceañera celebration. Thank you so much for the invitation. If you like my performance today, I invite you to follow me on my social media, Facebook and Instagram, Gabriela Sepulveda Music, or please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Gabriela Sepulveda, for more. Modern Latina, we love you, and congratulations. Wishing you many, many more years. Yo no sé por qué me siento hoy tan diferente. Porque no quiero nada con la gente. ¿Qué será? Yo no sé. Porque mi cuerpo cambia día con día. Siento que yo ya no soy la misma. ¿Qué será? ¿Qué será? Se muere la niña.
vida. Ahora me enciende como un sol la primavera. Mis sueños se convierten en promesas. Me cambia el corazón de quinceañera. Yo no sé por qué mi cuerpo cambia día con día. Siento que yo ya no soy la misma. ¿Qué será? ¿Qué será? Despierta la mujer que en mí dormía y poco a poco se muere la niña. Empieza la aventura de la vida. La aventura me enciende como un sol la primavera. Mis sueños se convierten en promesas. Me cambia el corazón de quinceañera.